Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Leia. I appreciate it. And thank you very much to everyone at Pineapple Sport. I'm very happy for this opportunity. So, as Leah said, I'm Steve Malora, licensed professional counselor in the state of Pennsylvania, licensed mental health counselor in Florida, and I'm talking to you about challenges of family members of adult performers. So, if there's any questions going on, feel free to type it in the chat panel, and we're going to keep this super informal. So, just quick disclosure, no guarantees, no warranties about any of the information in this webinar. This basically just means that I'm going to say a lot of things. Maybe it applies to you, maybe it applies to someone you know, maybe it applies to nothing at all right now. That's okay. And this is not a comprehensive exploration of everything. If it was comprehensive, it would be maybe 300 hours long and be a college course. We're just going to do some basics here around some of the challenges, some of the psychological problems, some of the conflict within family that seems to be happening a lot. So, first things first, if you have family members if you are an adult performer, and you have family members who are very accepting of your role, of your choices, of your career, good. Give them hugs, let them know it's appreciated, because probably is. Now, a lot of times I see with family members, from the experience that I've had, there's a lot of misconceptions about what actually goes on in the adult industry. So there's what parents and other family members and loved ones think they know about the industry. There's also what they don't know at all. And then there's what they do know. So we have misconceptions, unknowns, and knowledge. So let's say you are an adult performer and, for lack of a better term, you come out to your family as that. A lot of what I hear is there is a lot of concern for the individual, a lot of concern like, okay, is there a lot of drugs involved? Is there a lot of safety involved? What's going on here? How do you keep yourself safe? And for a lot of family members and loved ones, they are aware to a certain extent. So, for instance, a lot of family members will be very aware of a single incident that happens. Let's say the industry gets shut down because one of the people get tested positive for HIV. Now, here's the thing. In the adult entertainment industry, you're tested every 30 days. That's part of, at least that's the general standard in the United States. You're tested every 30 days, and you are periodically screened to make sure that there's no transmission. Great. Family members might see on the news sometime, hey, the entire industry just got a moratorium put on it because there's someone tested positive. That means everything is unsafe. Not necessarily true. So this is a misconception. This is an idea of like, we have some knowledge, here's some testing going on, but we're not getting the full picture. We're not getting, like, everyone gets tested, everyone gets 30 days. There's a very low chance of causing of sexually transmitted diseases, at least HIV and other ones, in the industry. Great. There's treatments. So that's a misconception. Then other areas in regards to, say, drugs, alcohol, other things like that, you usually see the extremes. So I'm a U.S. Army veteran, veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom. You don't ever see the boring days. You don't ever see, like, everything was fine today in the desert, you know, maybe some mortar fire. But, you know, you basically stay in, you do your job, you play ping pong, you work out, and you go to sleep, and you go to the next day. That's boring. What you hear then is, like, what's the headlines? Who died? What exploded? What was going on? Where's all the danger? A lot of my time when I was in Iraq, it was very boring. It was very boring. So there might be a misconception of, well, it's 1,000 miles an hour in the adult industry all the time. Not necessarily true. Usually it's just a day of work. You go in, you do your work, you film, you go out, you go home, you go to bed. Repeat. Boring days. Once again, we're fighting between misconceptions and unknowns. And yeah, misconceptions and unknowns for right now. And as more and more information comes out, Me Too movement, more exposés in the both mainstream and adult entertainment industry, a lot of sexual assaults, a lot of dangerous individuals in it, there might still be a lot of stigma or fear around that too. Like, okay, here I am as a family member, my daughter, son, sister, whoever is being exploited here by some, or has the potential to be in a dangerous situation by someone in this place, in this field. So these are just some of the things that bring up some of the fears that may be getting in the way of performer-family relationship. This is not comprehensive, once again. These are just some of the dangers, some of the misconceptions. Now, there are other things as well. Now, I'm not going to go into any specific details with specific performers, but if you read anything such as AVN magazine or XBiz or anything like that, you'll usually hear plenty of interviews. A lot of performers are coming from family backgrounds that are either religious or have some sexual mores, some sexual morals, some beliefs about how sex should be expressed and utilized. Now, my goal is not to talk about what is right and wrong here. All I'm just coming back to is the background, the personality. It's very hard. Excuse me. Let me restart. Generally, to be an adult entertainer, you have to be pretty open in a lot of ways. Very open to either new experiences, very open sexually, very open to sexual expression, very open to allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to be put on camera, that information disseminated and sent everywhere. So that's a level of openness that a lot of people have trouble accepting. Let's say your personality is a little bit more closed off, a little bit more rigid, a little bit more conscientious. For a lot of individuals, that in itself can cause a lot of conflict. Let's say you have a family member and could be religious, non-religious, could be conservative, liberal, doesn't exactly matter. Let's just say their personality says, I don't like having my information out in the world. I don't like expressing myself very well. I don't like having my picture taken, whatever it is. And then you have that person's family member who's performing, and that that performer is, once again, all the information going on in the world, being very, very vulnerable, being very, very open. That's a clash. Here's one thing I want for myself. Here's one thing I want for myself. And then we have to get into conflict of, this is what I want for you. That's a tough statement when we're dealing with family members or other loved ones, because it says there's a way you should act. Okay, so this reputation is part of this. So who was it? Can't remember the name of the actual adult performer who said this, but she was making a statement that she had cut off a lot of members of her family because her father was basically said, I would be embarrassed to be in public with you, which is pretty damaging. That's pretty painful. So it's like, okay, there's a cutoff here. There's an irreconcilable difference. Here I am. I'm trying to have some presence with you. I'm trying to have some relationship with you, but your reputation feels either more important or there's a cutoff here. There's a boundary. I'm not saying that boundary needs to be crossed or fixed. I'm just saying that exists. I'm going to swing back around just a little bit more to personality. So a lot of times I work with performers who say, well, why does the other person care? It's like, that's actually a good question. How do I want to put this? This is where I see a lot of conflict, where family members try to decide what the individual is supposed to do with life, career, family, sexual expression. And that's a lot of pressure. Depends on the family, of course. Some families are very much like, Go be free. I'm not going to have any words to say to you about what you want to do. Go pursue whatever you want to do. If it's underwater basket weaving, go do that. If it's being an astronaut, go do that. Some people are completely open. Other ones are, here's the family business. Here's what you're going to do. That level of pressure is pretty extreme, but I've seen it. Usually most people are somewhere in between. Their parents, spouse, siblings, whoever, have some idea about, oh, I would really like to see you as lawyer, doctor, some Formula One race car driver, doesn't matter. There's some conceptualization of like, here's my friend's personality, here's my sister, daughter, whoever. Here's their personality, here's their IQ, here's their whatever. I would really like them to be this, especially when you're talking with parents. A lot of times parents will put a lot of their own hope, a lot of their own personality, a lot of their own ego, for lack of a better word, into their children. So when their children pursue a career that they don't like, it feels like a personal attack, or it feels like some sort of grief, some sort of loss, some sort of shame. You hear a lot, both in the mainstream and adult worlds, where did I go wrong as a parent? Which is not the best thing for a relationship. It implies that the individual, everyone here is over 18. It implies the individual, the performer, has no say-so, or that something the parent did, was so bad that the individual decided to pursue adult work, and that there's something bad about it. There's something bad about the upbringing, something bad about either the performer or the family or whatever. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure on an individual. Now, sometimes it goes the other direction too. So I gave the example before of someone being ashamed to be around that adult performer. Maybe the other way around also happens. There's an element of celebrity here, whether good or bad or neutral. There's an element of fame. Walking down the street, you're with your family member who's in the adult entertainment industry, and people are staring. Maybe not everyone, but every so often you see, specifically a lot of guys, just check you guys out and then do a double take. Okay, maybe there's some celebrity here. Maybe it's not necessarily a shameful aspect or a fear of a loss of reputation. Maybe there's a fear of too much, too good, or too much focus. Once more, just an idea of one of the many things that can get in the way in these relationships. I want to talk about a couple other things that also seem to get in the way, specifically for parents of adult film stars. There is the perception of the performer as a sexual being. Now, this will probably sound kind of dumb because we're all adults, we're all sexual beings. Even asexual beings are sexual beings in some way. But as a parent, sometimes it's hard to reconcile those ideas. Sometimes it's very hard to reconcile, here I am being a parent, here's my child, that maybe I've known this person since age 0 to 18, 20, 30, whatever it is. Here, I've known this person his life, and now I'm seeing a whole new side that I kind of knew existed in the back of my mind, but now I'm seeing it real and in living color. Not saying that they're looking at the actual like porn videos or anything like that. I'm just saying, okay, here they are engaging as sexual beings. This is a shock. This is especially true for families where they don't talk about sex. Or if they do talk about sex, it's more about the biological reality, the reproductive reality, rather than like sexual expression, sexual activity, sexual engagement, the fun of it, the warmth of it, things like that. So when you have someone, well, what did I say before? Openness about sexuality, openness about expression. That's what a lot of performers have. They go back to their family. Closed. No one talks about it. No one wants to talk about it. It's either awkward or whatever. Once again, all families are different, but you see a lot of these conflicts coming from that rigidity, from that lack of openness, from that lack of communication. Okay. One other thing that might also be getting in the way of some of these relationships is the idea you can't live with your brain. And this is a stigma. This is a stigma that says if you are, even if you're smart, even if you're very intelligent, even if you have a good IQ, if you work in either sports or adult performance or dancing or performance art or whatever it is, then you're not actually that smart. Because if you were that smart, you'd be at a desk somewhere in a cubicle writing reports or something, whatever it is. There's this idea that if you can't live with your brain if you work with your body, or body work means that you're dumb. That's a pretty strong stigma in a lot of people I see, both mainstream and not. How do I put this? I'm not going to want to get into like how to fight against that yet. Just know that that stigma exists, and it might be another thing that gets in the way of these relationships. All right. So, just some basic ideas of what gets in the way. If you have any other ones, feel free to put them in the chat. Feel free to express what else is going on if anything jumps out. So, let's see what else we got. Now, how do we actually have a relationship with someone we either disagree with or we're having a lot of conflict with? Now, I'm going to go to extremes, and then I'm going to go to the middle. Extremes are, I have a relationship with my family, and let's say I'm the adult performer. I'm the adult performer. I have a great relationship with my family. The family has a great relationship with me. We're completely open about career, sexuality, everything. We're fine. That's great. That's the most open, extreme part. You don't need my help here. The other extreme is I'm the adult performer. My family does not accept me at all. To the point where we are both deciding to cut it off. I don't see them. They don't see me. We don't even exchange cards on Christmas. It's fully cut off. That happens rarely, but it happens, and it can happen a lot, especially when we are in this tumultuous field. But pure cutoff, that's the other extreme. And then there's the middle. When to cut off completely and when to cut off in fractions. So, I'm an American. I can have friends who disagree with me about religion, politics, everything. Great. Sometimes we get to disagree and we become stronger for it. We can discuss things. Great. Other times we have to cut it off. Like if we want to maintain this friendship, we don't talk about X, Y, Z. Once again, everyone here is over 18. Everyone here is an adult. You can view your family members, and your family members can view their other family members who's an adult performer. You can view each other as peers. As, okay, if this was a friendship, where would we connect and where would we disconnect? There are certain things I don't talk about my family with. I don't have to be completely open with them. They don't get that part of me. And I don't ask about certain parts of them. Right. Now, you can have a very either religious, closed-off, conservative family and a very open, sexually expressive porn star performer, adult performer, and they can still have a great connection. Maybe there needs to be some rules in place. We don't talk about work. We don't talk about your relationships. We can talk about everything else. Talk about sports. Talk about family. Talk about holidays. Whatever it is people talk about. Boundaries are key. What am I giving? What am I getting? And where do we cut off both? Now, you might be saying at this point, Well, Steve, I would love that idea. I would love to express some boundaries. I'd love to set some boundaries. However, can't do that with my family because XYZ. And once again, and this is not going to get into everyone's individual family, but really ask yourself, if you're saying to yourself, I can't set up boundaries, I can't have a relationship where I don't talk about my work, or I can't have a relationship where I say no if they do ask about my work. If you can't do that, then really ask yourself why. Ask yourself what's getting in the way here. Where are the resistances? Where are the personality dynamics? If we have one person in the family who is, how do I want to put this? If we have one person in the family who says that they are okay with a family member who's in the adult entertainment industry, but then makes some hostile jibes, or some sarcasm, some little digs here and there, maybe that's something that needs to be confronted. Maybe that's something that needs to be addressed either out in the open or one-on-one, something like that. Find out what the personality dynamics are in your family. Really think about them and find out, is there something else keeping me from a civil relationship here? Okay. So boundaries. Boundaries, what do we give? What do we cut off? Great. Next, education. I'm all about awareness. Awareness is the first step to everything. So, as I was saying before, a lot of parents, a lot of family members have a very, very misconstrued idea of what it is to be in the adult entertainment industry. And I might say that I might take that idea and apply it to literally everything. Parents, family members, loved ones, everyone has a misconstrued idea of what it looks like to be in any industry. Whether you are in the adult entertainment industry, a law office, in a military, in a financial bureau, whatever. If you see a movie like The Big Short, you see all the good parts where people are yelling at each other and like where the money's flying and stuff. You don't see the part where they're like, it's a 9-hour day and it's just paperwork. I love to see that. I love to see a movie about that. But once again, it's a misconception here. So let me rephrase. If you are an adult performer, then you are the expert in the industry. You're in it. As an expert, you can educate. What are the policies and procedures in here to keep you safe? Both in regards to medically, in regards to, maybe keeping yourself away from certain toxic individuals in the industry, maybe dangerous individuals. How do you keep yourself safe in regards to pretty much everything? Everything, either in the actual performance world where you are engaging in sexual activities, or as well, like maybe some of the other issues around it, such as drug use, things like that. Be an educator. Let them know. What do you do? How are you keeping yourself safe? And I would say, as an educator, it might take two or more explanations about a certain thing. So, for example, I am giving the example of STD testing a lot because I know it exists. Maybe now with the coronavirus, what are you doing for coronavirus testing? Every performer I know gets the thermal scan before getting into the building. Their thermal temperature test. That's it. That one. Just an idea. Just give them what is keeping you safe. What else? Now, you then can ask yourself, where's the cutoff there? No, where's the cutoff in regards to what your family member is concerned about? For example, a lot of what I hear is family members can be very concerned about dating. It's like, okay, if you are engaging in sexual expression on film in the adult entertainment industry, how does that work with dating? Your date's okay with that? Or are they not okay with that? this is for, if you're the performer, this is on you to decide what you want to share, what you don't want to share, and what the potential effects are. You can't read the future, you can't read your family's minds, but it's like, all right, if I explain what my relationships are, is this going to make my relationship with my family better or worse? Better, worse, or neutral? So what did I say before? Awareness. Awareness is key. Boundaries and awareness, very key. I want to talk about a couple other things that I gave before as things that get in the way of a relationship. Reputation. One idea is, well, I have this family member. The family member's in the adult entertainment industry. If I'm walking down the street with her, am I going to get accosted? Are we going to be stalked? Or am I a family member who is going to get cyberbullied, doxxed, stalked online because of that? Am I going to get some abusive messages here? And family members do. Family members do get that sometimes. Dangerous world. Make sure you are doing things to take care of yourself. But once again, this is where the family and the performer can come together and make certain plans. How do performers keep themselves safe from potential harm, either online or in person? Are there things you need to do to take care of yourself? Are there things you need to do to keep yourself safe? Get yourself a VPN, get yourself some hush email, get yourself some digital protection. That might be something where you and your family can connect on. Now, that's a very solution-focused thing. This is like, okay, here's a potential danger. Let's work on it together. Let's use this as an opportunity to build our connection by making ourselves safe. The emotional component here is, well, if my family member was not in the adult entertainment industry, I wouldn't have to deal with this. That comes with some shame, regret, guilt, something like that. All right, we're talking about emotional content. Emotional content isn't necessarily something to get rid of. I like to define it like grief. If you feel grief, if you experience loss, if someone dies in your life, or your house burns down, that job, you get fired from your job that you're very attached to, the grief is supposed to exist. If you come to me with grief, I'm not here to change you. I'm not here to stop you feeling emotional content. I'm here to help you get through it, help you process it. Maybe process it faster, maybe process it less painfully, but you're supposed to be feeling what you're feeling. Take a step back. When you feel these things or experience these things within the relationship with your family, between family members and the performers, might be something to address, might be something to hold on to, might be something to process. Now, I don't like the idea of feeling guilty for expressing yourself sexually, bodily, digitally. However, I don't like the idea of feeling guilt for expressing yourself, guilt or shame. However, this is telling us something where maybe this needs to be processed in such a way that we can talk about it. Me and my family members, and my other family member who is in the adult entertainment industry can somehow bring our emotions up and get a little bit stronger here, get a little bit more connected. All right. And another potential way to break down some of these barriers is to work on openness. Now, awareness, boundaries, great. I love those. If you are an expert in your field as an adult performer, great. Educate as much as you can. But another way to connect with family members is just to, I'll put this. See the human side of it. One thing that a lot of people experience is you are your job and nothing else. Now that can happen if you're overworking a lot and you like, let me put it this way. When I was, well, in grad school and a little bit after grad school, I was a counselor and that was it. I was only a counselor. All my friends were counselors. Everyone I interacted with was a counselor. We talked about feelings all the time. I didn't have any hobbies because I was working 2 jobs. Stabilize, do whatever you need to do. Years later, here I am. I'm a counselor right now. I'm an expert. I have hobbies. I ride my bike. I love swimming. I'm trying to learn how to fish. I'm doing little projects. I'm much more than just Steve the counselor. I'm Steve the human being. When family members and performers have conflict, sometimes the idea is we see the individual as one thing only. And that could be family members viewing the adult performer as just an adult star. And it could be the other way around, seeing the family member as either just a father, just a mother, just a brother, just a sister, whoever it is. And it's more nuanced than that. It's more open. Viewing each other as fully formed human beings is one of the best ways to help break down these barriers. With all the good things and bad things. You're not perfect, you're not super flawed, you're just human. I hope that way I said this makes sense. Now, in regards to trying to have family members and performers connect, boundaries, awareness, openness, if those aren't working and you need some help, maybe you need someone like me, someone who specializes in family care, who can bring you guys together. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it will definitely bring up a lot of the things, a lot of the resistance to this relationship, a lot of the what keeps you guys apart, what are the walls between you. If you need, once again, we're very glad Pineapple Support exists. If you need family counselors, they can, of course, give you some referrals for your area. Now, that's pretty much all I have for right now. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to hear from you guys in the chat. Otherwise, you can wave, and I would be glad to turn on your mics. And if Leah, if you're there, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
I'm here, but it was fantastic, and yeah, you covered everything.
Good. I try to go very quick and dirty, but you know, comprehensive. But yeah, is there anything specific that really jumped out and said, I really want to know a little bit more about XYZ?
Put me on the spot like that.
No worries. Can I ask you something, Leah?
Yes.
So with Pineapple Support, has there been anything very specific jumping out with either you, your friends, other members of the industry, where you see more family members connecting, more family members getting involved in performance careers, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we have, I was a performer myself, and my family have always been extremely accepting of whatever I've chosen to do.
Glad to hear that.
But that, you know, I appreciate how fortunate I have been to be in that position. We've got a video on our YouTube channel from a male performer called Levi. Now I cannot remember his second performer name, but there was a movie called Leave It to Levi, which is a movie that he produced. It started off just mobile phone recordings, and then one of the production companies got involved and decided to, you know, continue with this. And basically, it's his journey into the adult industry, and how at the beginning his mother was not so accepting of what he did. She was very religious and so on and so forth. And she had all of the preconceptions that you were talking about, you know, STIs and drugs and being taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
And the more she ended up coming to see the house where he was living in and getting to know the producers and the production companies and understanding the industry, and now works very, very closely with him. I think, and you can see this in the movie, and it's really wonderful, and it's all kind of candid camera type stuff. It's fantastic. If you have the time, I think it's on Netflix.
Sure. Leave It to Levi. All right, I'll have to check that out.
And we had a lovely video from one of our ambassadors, Aranya Mactans, who discussed how her mother was more accepting, her father not so much, and then her father has passed now, not that long ago, and it was only when she was researching to make the video for Pineapple Support on this topic that her mother told her that her dad was actually very proud of some of the things that she'd done, and it was really wonderful to hear.
Good.
So yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the videos that we've received from our ambassadors have been very positive.
Glad to hear. So when I was like getting deployed for the Army, there was a lot of family support, specifically around that specific base area. A lot of family support, a lot of organizations working with families and like, okay, here's your person, they're in the military, and what's the potential things that could happen? Who do you call? What do you do this? And a lot of education, a lot of psychoeducation. So I'm kind of wondering what would be like if you were to say make a pamphlet, being a little joking here, if you were to say make a pamphlet for family members of adult performers, like what would you want on it? Like, here's some information.
You're joking, but we're thinking about putting an information page together about this. So
fantastic. All right, cool.
I think just a fact and myth busting. That would be absolutely fantastic, you know, to put people's minds at rest, to know that their children are safe, because I think that's the biggest concern. It's, you know, it's knowing that your creation is not entered into something that is dangerous.
Myth busting, safekeeping. I like it.
And I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful if someone could just write down how to broach the topic? How to actually say, okay, so this is what I do. And yeah. It's
very much a coming out experience. Maybe not so much maybe it's not one-to-one as in like LGBTQ coming out, but it's very much a coming out experience. It was a very tough conversation.
Yeah. But rather have that tough conversation than one of my very good friends is Asian. She's half Asian, and her mother's Asian. Her dad isn't. Her dad used to Google Asian porn until he found his daughter, and now he can't watch it anymore. We have a great relationship, but yeah, rather you tell them than they find out that way, because that's gonna ruin his enjoyment forever.
That's apparently pretty common. Stoya has a quick interview about that too. It was like ruined porn for my dad, because anytime he goes online, even if he's not searching anything like her body type, it says like, here's one of my fleshlight ads that comes up, where it's like, okay, yeah, when you reach a certain level of fame, celebrity, I guess that ruins the entire experience for you.
Yeah.
Time to go back to VHS tapes.
Aww. Good DVD. We'll stick with the DVD.
DVDs, that does work too, yeah.
Because you can never find a VHS player now.
I'm somewhere in my mom's house. There has to be like 8 VHS players that are half broken. But I don't think I need those. All right. Anything else that's really jumping out at you?
for me, I think we've covered everything that I brought up at the beginning, everything that we previously discussed.
Great. So we can pause here. If any of the participants are going on now want to message me for more information, or if they have any questions, or if Leah, you're putting this on the. Are you putting this on the Pineapple website?
This will go on our YouTube channel and on our
Fantastic.
website. Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions on that, if you could send them over, I would be very happy to answer as best I can.
Absolutely. You can contact us via Twitter or contact at pineapple-support.org, and we can I can pass the message on to Stephen.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much for letting me do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for offering your time.
No problem. All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.